CPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station. We're going to be bringing you all the latest and the greatest during the Democratic Convention because we are the largest progressive talk radio station in the country. And of course, my family to the north, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. Meet my morning stars on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Hey, my godbrother Andre, Ashley King down in Tennessee, sending you all so much love. Got something to throw your way today. It's alarming to see these poll numbers continue to drop for President Biden. So let's talk about that today. Why is he losing votes within the Black community, Black men in particular? Why is he losing Latino votes? Why is he losing Arab votes? Why is he losing the youth vote? What can he do, or is there anything that he can do to bring those numbers back? And how will that impact the rest of the ticket? Yeah, you got to think about that too. As more and more David Axelrod, there is no one more influential in the Democratic Party than David Axelrod, came out and said, look, don't run. Don't run. It wasn't just progressives like Jeff Cohen this time. No. It was David Axelrod, who was pure establishment. One of the persons who ran the Obama campaign. So what does that mean? What does it mean? I want you to call me at 773-763-9278. I'm squinting a bit today. I'm going to have to go after we get off the air and take care of my eyes. Everybody take care of your health. That's right. I am doing well, but I'm struggling to see today. And so, and there is that. And so don't worry about me. Santita's going to keep on pushing through. You know that. Come on now. I'll keep on pushing through. But when you saw me squinting yesterday, many of you asked about it. No, I was not asleep. What I could not do was see. So I'm having to move up and I can't wear contact lenses as a result. I don't know what's going on, but I tell you what, I'm still here and you keep on pushing through. But sometimes there comes a time when you have to step back, which is why I'm going to see the doctor and I'm going to do whatever the doctor asked me to do. But call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. And I want you to let me know what you think about these poll numbers and what can be done about them. And you can just, if you feel that there's something that I should be doing, even though I'm not a Democratic operative and nor will I be, let me know what you need from media. Just know that they need to be coming on our shows. I'm not supposed to be making their case for them. No. I'm pulling for them, but that's not what I'm supposed to do. What I'm supposed to do is bring them to you, and they need to be all over it. There's a blueprint for this, everybody. Reverend did this. No one did it better. And he was everywhere all the time. Yeah. And that's what you have to be, to pull your people along. So call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. WCPT. He's done so many wonderful things. Has he missed some things? Of course, he's human. That's what happens. Is he bungling this Middle East issue? Absolutely. But remember, if things had traveled as they have traveled, if the narrative had remained the same, we would not be here. No one's been marching for Palestinian rights but a few of us. No one's been talking about the horrific situation in Gaza. No one's been doing that. You didn't dare criticize Israeli policy. You didn't do that. Now things have changed and things have shifted since October 7th. So he's had to make an adjustment to a new world. Has he done it? No. And but it's impacting him in swing states with Arab American voters and with progressives. So we need to talk about that today on the Santita Jackson Show. What must he do to recover, or should he fall on the sword for the party, if you will? Yeah. I mean, should he now just say, you know what? I am going to get on out of here. I'm going to get on out of here and I'm going to make room for somebody else. And we will see, give somebody else an opportunity to seize the presidency. Call me at 773-763-9278. Let me know what you think. Let's go to some of these headlines, Alex. Donald Trump appealed a ruling that he can be prosecuted over the January 6th attack. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. decided last week that the former president is not immune from being criminally charged for his efforts to undo the outcome of the 2020 election. How courts have handled the appeal filed yesterday may decide whether Trump, who is running for president again, goes on trial before the 2024 election. If he goes on trial before the 2024 election, do you think that will help him or hurt him? Call me. Call me at 773-763-9278. The U.S. said Israel must do more to prevent civilian deaths in the Gaza Strip, which are way past 16,000, approaching 17,000, according to most reports, everybody. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made comments yesterday as the death toll in Gaza climbed to more than 17,000 people, according to Palestinian authorities. Israeli soldiers rounded up dozens of Palestinian men and stripped them down to their underwear, which is profoundly insulting in that culture, everybody. According to a video apparently filmed in Gaza yesterday. Oh boy, what an insult. You're not supposed to see the bottom of someone's shoe. You can't do that to men. So that was a lie. The UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas gunman was a professor who repeatedly applied for a job. Wow. Anthony Polito, 67, had sought a position at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas, where he killed 3 faculty members Wednesday before being killed by the police. He mailed 22 letters to university personnel across the country. One has been retrieved and contains an unknown white powder. A strong storm will hit the central U.S. and East Coast this weekend. Extreme weather is making sugar more expensive. My mother always told me to collect that. And everybody in Chicago, it's going to be a beautiful day. 54 degrees, partly sunny. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 51 degrees, partly sunny. In the NBA, the Wolves will be playing the Spurs tonight. The Timberwolves will be playing the Grizzlies. What about this NBA in-season tournament? What do you think about that? Well, the final tonight, Pacers versus the Lakers. What do you think about this in-season tournament? It tickles me a little bit. I'm like, you all gonna find a way to make some money. There you go. In the NHL, Chicago won. The Ducks, nothing. But the Canucks, too, they shut out the Wild 2-0 last night. In the NFL, the Patriots 21 and the Steelers 18. Pastor Bobby Lewis, how you doing today? Robert Burton Lewis. I'm not accustomed to that. Joy Life Center, you know that's hard for you, big sis. Robert
so funny.
Burton. Oh, come on, man. Robert Burton Lewis. I'm like, okay. Everybody, full disclosure, we grew up next door to each other. Actually, we moved, when my parents moved into the house, he and my brother Yusef were newborns. So that's how
Right.
I marked time by, we moved in the week Yusef was born. And so I marked time by watching Pastor Robert Burton Lewis, who's known to me personally. Y'all don't call him that, I'm Bobby. So Kelly, Bobby, and Frayne shared a room, and then Dawn's room was off of that. That's where she and I played all the time. Their sister Denise had a room across the hall. She didn't want anyone in there, but she let Dawn and I come in there and borrow the books. And then Ramsey and Kevin shared a room. Oh, okay. See, I know the layout. And Connie stayed downstairs. Come on, man, get out.
Yeah.
Miss Connie, love her. So
you got the layout.
That's right, the layout. And your Aunt Alice with those German chocolate cakes. What?
Oh my Lord. Yeah, she did make those.
She did.
And I'm going to tell you, every time you say Robert, you know, that name never stick with me. Everybody calls me Bobby, even at the church. It's Pastor B or Pastor Bob.
But you
Robert
know what?
just does not stick.
It's so distinguished. Yeah. And, you know, I'm going to stick with it. It's just, you know, I just hear your mama saying, Bobby.
Right.
It's like, you know, Yusef will be forever Tootie to you. I mean, I can't help it.
Yeah. That's my brother. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's such a beautiful time. Such a beautiful time. Absolutely. I love y'all so much.
We love you too.
Love you so much. So, you know, this season, Santita, I want to remind everybody, you know, we're all going to have celebrations. We're going to give gifts. We're going to enjoy one another. But I just want to remind everyone about the richness and the anticipation and reflection that our hearts are drawn to, and the profound message of Advent. We're in the middle of the Advent season. And this Sunday especially, we're talking about faith. And Advent is more than just a countdown to Christmas. It's a spiritual journey. It represents a season of expectant waiting, a time to prepare our hearts and minds for the coming of Christ. It's a period to reflect on the past, live in the present, and look forward to the future with hope and joy. You know, Santina, last week we were talking, I preached about hope, and I could not resist saying keep hope alive. Just couldn't resist it.
But you know what?
I mean,
It
it's
I was
ingrained in my
there
spirit.
when Reverend just used it. And you know what?
Yeah.
People
Mhm.
couldn't let it go.
No, I mean, it's so vitally important. You have to keep hope alive. So, but this Sunday we celebrate faith, and not just any kind of faith, but new faith. New faith is not just
Dr. Knighton is on, and you're on mute.
It's a transformation. It's about seeing God's promises with fresh eyes, about stepping out of our comfort zones and embracing the changes that God is bringing into our lives. And at Joy Life Center, we are celebrating the birth of Jesus, but we're also celebrating the birth of new possibilities within our lives. So as we focus on new faith, let's be proactive. Let's reach out to those in need, all kindness where there is despair, and bring light into darkness, because that's what we're called to do. Our new faith calls us to be active participants in God's work, to be the living embodiment of love in the world. So I want to extend a personal invitation to each and every one of us today to engage deeply this season. I want that to be our challenge. Attend services, participate in community events, and take time for personal reflection and prayer. Because this season is a time for all things new, all things that God has for you, has for me, and everyone in the world. So happy holidays, and come on by Joy Life Center this morning. We'd love to have you.
Well, I mean, where is it? Let us know. You gotta.
Joy Life Center is at 9401 South Oakley, Chicago, Illinois, 60643. We're in the Beverly area, and we just have a good time on Sunday morning. Sunday at 12 o'clock Central. And look, if you're not, because I know you speak to everybody in the world, Santita. So if you can't make it by the church physically, you can join us on Facebook or YouTube. Just type in Joy Life Center, follow us, subscribe to us, and you'll get all of our services. We have a Tuesday Bible study, a Wednesday prayer study, and then we have our Sunday service at 12 noon Central Standard.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Pastor Robert Burton Lewis, Pastor Bobby, sending you so much love. I'm so glad that you were with us today because, you know, really, that's the good news. That's the good news. And you should, and that you shouldn't be alone in this season. You don't have to be.
No.
Stop by the church sometimes.
No.
Somebody might say something that might keep you moving and grooving on your way. Just stop by the church sometime.
Come on by and hold on and grab a hold of this new life that God has for you. Come on and get it.
I love it. I love it. And I love you, Pastor Bobby Lewis.
I love you too.
Pastor Bobby.
I love you too.
Pastor Bobby.
This is so exciting.
since I went through the bed lineup, because it was Jesse, Johnny, and Yusuf in one room. Yeah. Dawn and I had our own spaces. The girls had their own spaces.
Yeah.
Thank you, moms.
Yeah. Ain't nothing like having your own space.
Well, you all didn't have it, and you didn't need it because it was a gang of all the boys, and it was just a couple of girls. I just remember Dawn and I getting our Shirley Temples when your father would perform, and your mother would make sure that we had our little fake drinks. I guess ginger ale with a cherry on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, and all dressed up and just dressed to the nines.
Absolutely.
Our parents would do that, and it wasn't just the only girls in the two houses next door, but that was kind of the thing in our neighborhood. There was just so many boys, and it was just a few girls. So y'all was always treated special, extra special.
Now we were, and I can tell you this: these were lovely gentlemen, and they protected us. So and it was just wonderful. We got a chance to play with each other, grow up with each other. We all went to school together, And then we went to high school together. We went to college together.
Yeah.
Many of us went to graduate school
Yeah.
together. And it was just a very special time. And I thank
Yeah.
God for you today. And I'm thanking
Yeah.
God for your ministry. So sending you so much love today. And again, how can we get to you at 12 o'clock on Sunday? See, after you've been out all night on Saturday, you can get on to church.
Right. Now say that, Santita. It doesn't matter what you did Saturday night or Sunday morning. Get on by Joy Life Center at 9401 South Oakley, Chicago, Illinois, in the Beverly area at noon. You got plenty of time to get there and come celebrate with. Come as you are. I want to see you. I want to celebrate with you. I want to help you and worship with you and understand what God has for us this season. New, all things new this season. So come on, get some restoration, get restored, and enjoy the Lord as we celebrate Advent season, this holiday season, and the birth of Jesus. Amen. And you can also join us at on Facebook and YouTube. Facebook and YouTube. So if you can't get there, if by some chance you don't get there, you can join us at Joy Life Center on Facebook and YouTube and just celebrate with us this holiday season. Like Santita said, there's no reason for you to be alone. You are not alone. Come be a part of our family at Joy Life Center.
Well, and we celebrate with our brothers and sisters of the Jewish faith their Festival of Lights. This is the second day of Hanukkah. 8 consecutive nightfalls. Jews gather with their family and with their friends to light an additional candle in the menorah. And, we send them so much love today. I sent a group chain to many of my Jewish brothers and sisters. I think we started something because I said, I can't text anymore because I can't see, but I love you. Just I love you. And I love you, Pastor Lewis. And we will see you throughout this holiday season. We've got Dr. Shanina Knighton fresh out of Saudi Arabia. How you doing, Dr. Shanina Knighton?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, I am doing well. What do you want us to know today? And I want you to stay over just a couple more minutes on the other side. Stay right there, because I want you to tell us what we need to know in this holiday season. And and if you would, give us more time next week. Just stay right there. Got a few minutes on the other side.
Okay.
But I want you to tell us about your experience in Saudi Arabia. For those of us who've not been there and those of us who might not ever get over there, I think it is important for us to know, particularly as women, as Black women, as Black people, anyone who has been marginalized, or someone who has never been out of the United States. It's a whole new world out there. And there are a lot of different perspectives. That's why we have to be very, very careful not to just think that our perspective is the only one. Do you not agree with that, Dr. Knight, before we go to the break?
Absolutely. But I wanted to actually, Santita, talk about something that's impacting us because of the weather, and that's the air filters. So the impact of dirty air filters in homes.
Well, stay right there.
And so a lot of stuff that
Stay
got
right
it.
there. We're going to be right back on the Santita Jackson Show. And then talking about these poll numbers. They just keep getting worse for President Biden. Talk to him. What can he do to lift himself up out of the dungeon? Or should he let someone else run? He's at 37%, and the numbers continue to slip. He continues to lose support with Black people, particularly Black men, and Latino voters, and Arab American voters, and young people are moving away in droves. What's going on? Back with more for the Santita Jackson Show just a minute. Thank you, Dr. Knighton. I cannot see today. And so I'm going to the doctor literally after I get off the air.
So literally can't see.
Babe, I am having a hard time. Hard time. I don't know what happened, but we're going to find out.
Is it blurred? What's going on?
It's blurred. One eye really hurts. I'm very sensitive to light.
You sure it's not retinal detachment?
I don't know. We're going to see.
If it is, that's something that you got to go get done absolutely immediately.
Well, I'm going to the doctor today. And if that's what it is, if I need to sit up in there and have a surgery, guess who'll do that? Me?
You're not having flashes of light in both eyes, are you?
No.
Okay.
But my eyes are very they're very runny. For the first, yeah, I just thought was having really bad allergy season. Then oh my gosh. It's like just everything just broke loose on me, And it was like, oh yeah. And so it was very difficult to pull the show together last night. And just, but things happen and you never know why the Lord is making me sit here for a minute. So I'll roll with it. Go see this doctor who I've never seen before. And it's someone was saying, oh, you want to go see it? I said, not an optometrist. I need to see an ophthalmologist, an MD, and Dr. Knighton. Like, tell a nurse what's going on. Because you have to, you have to deal with the nurses anyway. They're the ones who tell you. Oh, boy.
Yes.
They're the ones.
Attorney Jones and Mr. McKee are on.
Okay, how you doing, everybody? I've got Dr. Knighton with us.
How you doing, Doc?
Good morning, everyone. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am.
She's going to be on for the first few minutes, and then I'm going to come right to you guys, okay? Hello, are you all there?
I'm here.
Okay, no, answer, because that part of that is a mic check. I need to know if you all are still there, all right? Hello.
Good morning, Santita. I'm here.
Yep, no, let me know. Answer as quickly as you can, because if there's a problem, we need to rectify it now. Okay? Everybody, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
no,
here.
answer
Yeah,
as
we're
quickly.
here.
Answer as quickly as you can. I need to make sure that I don't have a problem. Okay. 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 Okay.
1 minute.
Said this. Oh, you can't give people things for.
And when she's on, please put me on mute. I want to pull something else up.
Okay, sounds good.
They're lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put me on mute when she's on.
Okay.
Because I just got my heating systems looked over and I had to change all my filters. But I changed them a lot anyway.
10 seconds.
Amazing how filthy they get.
Stand by.
Okay, stand by.
You're listening to WCPT 820.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show, WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station. I want you to let me know what President Biden can do to get out of the basement. Why are his numbers so bad? Why is he losing this coalition that he needs? Young people, young voters, Arab American voters, they're key in these swing states. Black voters, black men in particular, Latino voters. I mean, they are running away. And you have many Democratic spokespersons who are saying, well, it's really early yet. We've been saying this for a while, though, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And you let me know, 773-763-9278. And this is not to be Debbie Downer. This is to diagnose a problem and fix it. So I'm going to see the doctor for myself. But before we do, I ran along with Pastor Bobby Lewis, and I'm glad I did, because perhaps you will be encouraged when you go to see him on Sunday, or someone on Sunday, or someone on Saturday, to lift your spirits, everybody. No one should be alone in this particular moment. Dr. Shanina Knighton, just having come back from Saudi Arabia, and really emphasizing hand hygiene, which is a big, big deal we see around the world. But the Arab world, that's not surprising because they eat communally like Africans do. And so you have to have clean hands. You don't eat with dirty hands. But, that's another story. You wanted to talk to us about air filters today.
Yes, it's very important. I know that we, of course, embark upon the use of air conditioners, and then there's also heaters. But we're talking about air filters are very flimsy. They're very, let's say, reasonably cost in terms of them being cheap, but unfortunately putting off replacing air filters for months can have like a lot of hard effects, not just on your actual systems itself, which can then need to be replaced a lot sooner because you're not taking care of them, but they increase your electricity bill because it's having to work harder to be able to get things out when it's clogged. We're talking about air filters, like there's mold, mildew, bacterial growth that occurs on it. And so when it gets too congested, even during, let's say, the summer seasons when it's cooling, you have all of that stuff that's going to continue.
Yes, Miss Jackson, you're muted.
Clogged. Talking about, again, caked up dirt, mold, and bacteria that's then going to be circulating through your air. And so when people say, oh, my system is not working efficiently like it should, there's increased strain. I'm sorry, the dogs are coming down the stairs. There's increased strain on the actual system itself. But then there's also going to be strain on your body because you're now then looking at respiratory symptoms. So people might have a chronic cough, which exists, that they're not understanding why they can't get rid of. There's other health concerns, that grow as a result of it, meaning that, yes, if you're breathing in contaminated air, does that then, let's say, trigger asthma? Does it then trigger allergies, that you may have had? And so some individuals, when they're experiencing this, they're thinking like, oh, it's just the change of the season. But it's not. It actually has a lot to do with the air quality in your home.
So do you know how you can look at your
recommendation?
Okay.
Recommendation would be to change it about, like, let's say maybe like every 1 to 3 months, depending on how hard it's working. But it's to look at it. So it's actually to visibly look at it. If you look at it and you can tell that it's very dusty and it's caked up and it's grimy, that's the time to change it. The good thing about air filters is you can actually see the buildup of toxins. Unlike, let's say, germs such as COVID or somebody having a flu, we can't see those germs, but we can see a dirty air filter and know that it is filled with some sort of mold, fungus, bacteria, and harmful pollution, that can harm us.
So, like when you have your regular fan, and you can see it can get dusty in the back, you should clean that off too, right? All of these devices.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cleaning the blades.
When you're breathing.
Okay.
Yep. When you're breathing it right back into your lungs.
Thank you for that. That makes me feel good. All right. So clean. You're right. Dr. Shanina Knighton, everybody. Hey, Dr. Nina, HEYDRNINA. We're going to have her on next week for an extended period of time so she can tell us about what she saw and what she learned when she was in Saudi Arabia. I mean, when she saw the infrastructure, the roads that are paved, all the money that they put into caring for the people. It was amazing, wasn't it? Dr. Knighton?
Exactly.
Okay.
It was exactly just that. I've never seen streets so clean, and literally there being people dedicated to their street vacuums. They use street vacuums on a regular basis. So to be somewhere where you don't see a speck of dirt, and they're allowed to smoke cigarettes there, and they have like certain areas where they're able to smoke. You don't even see cigarette butts on the ground.
All right. That's what I'm talking about, everybody. I want you to know that a lot of people are living a whole lot differently. Um, just all over the world. So think about that. Think about it. Love you, Dr. Shanina Knighton. It's always a joy to be with you.
Absolutely, and likewise.
You can stay out here and hang out and listen to Dwight McKee and attorney Daryl Jones and I want to hear from you, everybody. Call me at 773-763-9278. Why are these numbers for President Biden? Why are they continuing to go down? I mean, now he's down to a 37% job approval rating. 63% of Americans just generally don't approve of his job performance. What is going on? What does that mean? Why is he losing Black voters, particularly Black men? Why is he losing Latino voters? Why is he losing the Arab American vote? Why is he losing the youth? I mean, all these people are part of the coalition that he must have in order to win. What is going on? Let's break it down. In your opinion, Daryl Jones, what do you see happening?
Well, Santita, I think that a large part of this, as we're watching the numbers dwindle, right? We know that the numbers there were never extremely strong for Black men. They were supportive, but not extremely supportive. And I think that a large part of what you're seeing happening now is two things. One, we're not in the middle of the real pressure of the election, so that people are really seeing who the alternative is. And that as we get closer to that, I think that you will see some rebounding of some of those numbers. But the other piece is this. I think that to a large part, that Black men are watching and other people of color are watching what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening with the Palestinians. And a lot of Black men sympathize with what they see happening to the families in Palestine and the side that the administration appears to be taking. And so I think that's going to be that's eroding some of that support, a large part of that support. And then on top of that, the question that's always asked, is what have you done for me lately? And I'm not certain that that's being seen, that the administration is doing things or taking actions that are really supportive of the African American community as a whole, but Black men in particular. The appointments that you're seeing, Ketanji Brown Jackson was a great appointment. But for Black men, that's not the appointment they're looking for. It's not something that's standing with Black men and the Black men's concern. So I think that, when it comes to the African American community and the African American men, that's a large part of what you're seeing. The younger folks, similarly, right? They're not seeing the advancement they wanted with regards to the environmental issues. Mm-hmm. They're not seeing necessarily the advancement that they've wanted with gun control, the issues that really confronted them, whether it's student debt relief, right? They see that now is all tied up. And so, you add to that this Gen Z young millennial generation is the most multiracial, multicultural, most understanding and accepting community. And then again, you lay that next to what's happening with this administration with regards to what they're doing in the Middle East and that policy of non-tolerance in terms of how they're, have played this out. And it goes against what that generation believes. So these are some of the challenges that the administration currently is facing. I believe that explains some of the downward departure with regards to the support. And the other piece of that becomes with the polling itself. Because with young voters, particularly Gen Zs, when you start doing polling by phone, you ain't going to reach most of them because they're not the phone type people. They ain't going to answer the phone number. They don't know, all that stuff. So the whole polling process itself also becomes a factor in that analysis, Santita.
Dwight McKee, it's almost as if Attorney Daryl Jones, do you remember Karnak the Magnificent on The Tonight Show? The prophet who Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon playing off him. I mean, it was brilliant. It was hilarious. I used to love to see that skit. Well, it's almost as if you've been Karnak, Dwight. you and Robert Stillo have been have predicted this. I mean, what are you seeing? I mean, a hemorrhaging of black male support. I mean, an absolute hemorrhaging of Latino support. Arab Americans are saying, "No way, I'm not going to vote for you." But when you've handled the Middle East, I'm done. The youth vote. I mean, and we've been meeting with a lot of youth. They're done. They're done. Even when they look at the alternatives, because we act as if Trump is the only alternative. We act as if Cornell West is not out there, RFK is not out there. And this group, I get the sense, are unafraid of voting beyond the Democratic or Republican parties. For them, they are non binary in more ways than one. Dwight McKee.
Well, it's interesting because actually he is back where he started from.
Hmm.
He really, if you remember, he was not the most popular candidate. He was really kind of imposed upon us from Fiburn, and they carried the load for him and took him over the top, and so he became the best option, but he wasn't the first option. He became the best option left after Kleinberg and them, began to cut the deals and pull the South,
And push
particularly
Bernie
black
out.
women. Boy,
Yeah.
one is that, they put him on a ticket when he was vice president because he appealed to a certain base, a certain kind of middle class white person, um, to balance Obama's appeal to the progressives and the young. And that strategy worked as long as Obama was there to deal with the progressives and, pull his crowd in. But once he was on his own, that was not enough of a base for him to be able to sustain long range impact, because the progressives don't see him as a progressive, and the crowd that he generally appeals to, which is the middle class white crowd, they are in Trump's pocket.
Hmm.
And so he is not reactionary enough to appeal to them, and not progressive enough to appeal to the young, the blacks, the Hispanics. And so the Bible says that, you can't, you either be hot or cold. You really have a hard time if you lukewarm. People kind of spit you out their mouth. And that's kind of who he has become, is a lukewarm candidate. He didn't fight for the issues that blacks wanted him to fight for. He didn't fight for reparations. He didn't really fight hard for debt forgiveness, for tuition for the young people. He didn't really fight for health care. I mean, he was deficient. It really comes down to deliverables. He was deficient in deliverables, but yet, as he tried to appeal to the right, like his position on this war, they don't see him as. So that Trump has that crowd locked down. So you are not going to be able to extract that crowd from out of the palm of Trump's hand. So he's kind of, lost in space. I'm not sure actually he's going to end up a candidate at all. I can see Newsom in the bullpen warming up. And I think that, with this indictment of his son, that Newsom probably had some play in, because it came out of California. I think that 2 walks and a wild pitch in, he's gonna be yanked from the game. I can see now, boy, they're kind of lining up. And I think the issue they're trying to deal with now is what they're gonna do with Kamala. I mean, with Vice President Harris. If they yank him, how are they gonna play that? But I do think that between that and them trying to put him on the impeachment next week, I think his problems are yet to come.
Well, what
I
do
think
you?
again, this is only the beginning of sorrows for
Well, I
him.
mean, now there's no tie between him and his son's money. At least as we have seen it presented in the case. Why would his son's case impact him?
Oh, they are going to. It's going to be a tie there once they figure out that those quote unquote loan repayments was part of the payouts and the influence peddling. He's going to be. He may not be indicted for that, but he's going to be implicated in that with his son. It's then that's even if they don't have an impeachment trial about him, it's gonna be hard for him to escape because his position and his influence was the only thing his son had to negotiate in the sale. His son has no inherent skills himself, and so the only thing that he was leveraging was his father's position. And you're gonna find that as a mainstay. Are they gonna make it a mainstay in his indictment? And he has been indicted, by the way.
Yeah.
So that part of it is real, which we predicted that he would be indicted. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. His position in Israel has been horrible and detrimental to him because it really has cost him. It's going to cost him the electoral vote in the major states that he needs to win that, because the Muslim community, the Arab community, they're going to buckle on that. And a lot of the young progressive Jews that we've been meeting with are very adverse to his position. Black men, particularly, adverse to his position. And what they was counting on as a strategy was the boogie bear strategy. Just keep painting Trump as the boogie bear. And that could work the first time. But now, he's been the president and people know that they can survive that. So that's not working as effective as it worked the first time around for him. It's people don't see, they see Trump as an extremist, but they don't see him as the boogie bear that they're trying to turn him into be. And so a lot of folk, particularly a lot of black men don't see a substantial difference between him and Trump. And so it's for them it's become fairly personal because of his position on Israel and Gaza. And, the migrants and what he did to the Haitians. And so they see him really as a very subtle, tacit racist. The inconsistency of how he dealt with the Haitians, as opposed to how he dealt with the Cubans, how he dealt with the Palestinians, as opposed to how he dealt with the Israelis. I mean, you begin to understand his relationship with Thurman and his position on busing. Things begin to make more sense to you as you watch his policies evolve or devolve.
Everybody, what do you think? Call me at 773-763-9278. I hear you, Daryl. What are you about to jump on in?
Well, in addition to what Dwight has laid out, I mean, when you start, reviewing his policy and what's going on in the Middle East, he's going to own everything that's happening with Israel. And the fact that now Israel is, tensions have been percolating and fire and shots have been fired in Lebanon. As all of this continues to unfold, he's going to own all of this. This is on his watch that all of this has occurred, and he has been the one to glue himself to the Israelis throughout this entire fiasco that's going on
but
there.
Wait, Daryl,
so
hold on.
as that,
but hold on, stay right there, and I want you to engage me on this. The Israeli narrative has completely shifted in the blinking of an eye. Prior to on October 6th, when you woke up the morning of October 7th, the entire A team of CNN, they were there. They knew something was going to happen. Wolf Blitzer was there in the morning, first thing in the morning. And nobody expected to see 300,000 Palestinians and Palestinian sympathizers in the streets of Washington demanding justice for them. That has just not happened in America over the past 80 years. I mean, so he's functioning in a narrative that that we have only known. It's the progressives among us who've been saying, at least as Reverend Jackson said, you need Israeli security, but Palestinian justice. No one was talking about the Palestinians, not with any respect. Now you've got the UN general saying, wait a minute, I'm about to invoke Article 99. This has gone too far. Now you have South Africa, they're preparing a serious case to take to the ICC. I know that Israel is not a signatory, but you see the whole global South lining up, which is most of the world. Everything has changed, Daryl, but him.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And then you add to that what I think is, the last nail that's in it, and that is when the Gaza area was declared the most dangerous place to raise a child, for a child to exist in the world. And so, you put all of that together, and he's got to own this narrative. He owns this story and what's happening there, and that's. It's going to be a drag. It's going to continue to be a drag until, I don't know what he can do at this point based on the positions that he's taken. But that is one of the factors, as Dwight was laying them out, that clearly is in the minds of the our young voters, clearly in the mind of our voters of color, and it's going to be driving him down until he deals with it. And I don't believe that he's going to be able to pivot and shift the story away from what's happening in the Middle East. It's going to be that albatross that remains until he figures out how to effectively deal with it. It's rare that in a presidential election that we deal with a strong international issue as opposed to domestic issues. Generally, voters are more domestic-oriented than international. I question that this time through, because at this point in time, there's a strong international, interest that's there that's against him. And the question becomes, how does he override it? In addition to all of that, on the domestic front, very clearly laid out a lot of the issues that are here domestically. The other issue that's there is voting rights. He didn't push hard on voting rights. He did as little as he could on the voting rights issue. And so now we have voting rights that's percolating again. There are a lot of issues that are in front of this administration that the African American and community of color and young voters are dealing with that must be handled and must be dealt with.
But what about the shift of Black voters to Trump? They're not afraid of him anymore. What do you make of that, Daryl? I've got about a minute.
You're going to see, and it's scary, right? Because it doesn't take much of a shift, because you're dealing with President Biden, who, didn't come off strong in the African-American community initially. And now that there's a soft vote that's there, got to remember, he only won by a slight percentage in the general election. Therefore, any shift of Black men away from him is traumatic and can be dramatic. And I believe you're going to see some shift unless they right this ship. I'm not certain how they do it at this point.
Well, you know what? That's why you don't run weak candidates, everybody. That's why you need to have debates. That's why primaries matter. White McKee made a brilliant point. Go back to front. This is what we were dealing with. This is, remember, 4 years ago this time, people were asking him to get out the race. And by the time we got past Iowa, where he did not even finish third, people were like, please leave. Please leave. And then he said, no, wait for South Carolina. You're going to see something there. I was like, well, what does he know? I said, clearly he knows something. Well, he knew something. But I think the inherent weaknesses in his candidacies, Dwight, I think you have a point. I think we're seeing them now. But now that we're here, what do? Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. This is no time to feel hopeless. The fact is, if you make a move and you make some decisions to start calling the DNC, demanding debates, demanding discussions, demanding, they will dance to another tune. But the longer you stay silent, the more of this we're going to see. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. I mean, Dwight, you made the point. It's like, I think the inherent weaknesses in his candidacy we're seeing once again.
Absolutely, and it's not like they weren't there. You know, they had just been buried so deeply because of the Trump phenomenon and the fear of Trump that people, you know, just kind of laid it to the side.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more and more and more evident. It's more and more transparent, particularly with this Israeli situation, because this Israeli situation is so stark that it brings light to everything else. His position on Israel is so extreme and so racist and so counter progressive that people are saying, "Wait a minute, is this who this guy really is?" And so they look at the rest of the record and say, "Yes, it is. This is who he really is." So why am I? If this is not reflecting who I am, then why am I in this? And I hear that from everybody from black men to the young Jewish crowd that we've been meeting with all week. Is that's their position. If this is who he is, this is not who we are. So why are we over here? And we won't be over here.
Wow. I mean, Daryl, it's been a lot. I mean, because because these young people already down the street, number one, they are, like I said, they're non-binary in more ways than one. They're like, okay, no, it's not black or white. It's not Democrat or Republican. They don't even bring that to them, Daryl. They don't want to hear it.
Right.
They are like,
No.
They're not looking for a job with the Democratic Party. They're not. They're looking for the erasure of their student loans, and they look and they're like, by the way, I'm not with this, y'all. And we've been hearing this from young people, in particular, all of these young Jewish people who are not activists, but they've become activists because they are sick of it.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting part to that, Santita, is, when you're seeing what's happening at many of the colleges and universities with the students and how they're rallying to the side of the Palestinians, right, and support of the Palestinian state and the stopping the genocide in
all your guests are on
in Gaza, in Palestine. All of that is indicative of where.
Yes.
Yeah, And so, when you see all of that happening, that gives you the pulse of where the young voter is, where the young interest is. And, when I see the presidents of the university being pulled in, when I see the college student jobs and after graduation being threatened, tuition being threatened, scholarships being threatened because of the positions that they're taking with regards to the whole Palestinian question, that all certainly, does not bode well for the administration, because they're seen as being anti-administration at that point. They really are.
Well, I think
that's part of the problem. It's part of the enemy.
Oh, this is just and it's like they're not listening. Jonah Karsh, how you doing, sweetie? Happy Hanukkah.
I'm doing well. Thank you. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. The Festival of Lights.
Yes, indeed.
You're taking me back to Mrs. Eichel's and my preschool and nursery school. We did all of these wonderful holidays. I grew up on the campus of the University of Chicago, so you saw it all, and I'm grateful. Oh boy, I was singing so many. I can't believe the songs that stay with you when you're from your childhood. It's just unbelievable. But we have got Mark Fancher with us, right? Hey, Mark.
Good morning.
And we've got my dear friend Denise. Denise, how you doing, my sweet?
Good morning.
I know you didn't think I was gonna call you this morning. She said, this girl. Yeah. Everybody, I want you to meet Denise. This is the hairdresser from heaven. I love her. You have to understand, I have a special place in my heart for estheticians because that was my grandmother. who Dwight knew quite well. And my grandmother stayed dutied up even when she was in the hospital. She almost looked, I teasingly called her Baby Jane. She didn't have her lipstick smeared. She was, we went up to see her at the Mayo Clinic. She was up there for quite some time. She was in her lingerie and makeup every day. These people thought my grandmother was bizarre because she was not playing. But this is Denise Parker, and she's a brilliant esthetician. And Denise is doing something really special, Dwight, in the name of her son. First of all, Denise doesn't look like. How many children do you have, Denise?
I have 7.
Dwight, when you see her, and men don't believe her. Because I ain't seen no evidence. She doesn't look, her body doesn't look like she's had one child. And she's a grandma too. I can't believe any of it. But I was moved particularly by the fact that she lost her son. Her son, as a young teenager, started a toy drive because he wanted to help children who were struggling. Bless his heart. And so as she worked her way through her grief, she said, you know what? I'm going to pick up the banner for my son. And I felt that it was something that we needed to amplify and honor today. As they are not just giving away toys, Dwight and Jonah and Mark and Daryl, they're giving away clothes and food, and whoever gets there first, whatever you need, you got it. And when I was at the beauty shop yesterday, people were dropping off the food, they were dropping off the clothes, they were dropping off the toys. And it's
30
always
seconds.
wonderful when you see that, So I just wanted to, Denise, it'll be painless. It'll only take a few minutes, okay? But I want you to give us the who, what, and the when and the where. We'll shift back into our conversation
10 seconds.
on politics, as Alex is telling me to shut up. Thank you, Alex.
I didn't say that. Stand by, please.
Of course.
Hello?
How are you still here? We're just coming up.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. We've been talking about Biden's poll numbers. Why are they so low? 37%. Dwight McKee reminds us, this is kind of where he was when he started. So what happened, everybody? What's happening, everybody? And how can Democrats hold on to the White House in 2024? 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. WCPT is my home station, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station. Keep it locked right here because we're going to give you the best and latest and greatest information as the Democrats come to town next summer. And then, of course, my brothers and sisters to the north, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. Call me at 773-763-9278. I want you to weigh in on this election 2024 conversation. And go to my YouTube channel, the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel, and meet up with the Morning Stars. As I go into some of these headlines, one of the headlines is we are in the second day of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. We send all of our love. Carol Soskin, I'm watching you, girl, out there in the hills of Beverly, and my beloved Jonah Karsh. But our Jewish brothers and sisters are in the midst of their holiday season. What this is a holy season, everybody. I mean, you've got the Muslims who have their holy season. You've got a holy season for our Jewish brothers and sisters. And we've got one of the highest holy seasons, this and Easter, in the Christian calendar. The birth of Jesus, and of course in Easter, his death and resurrection. So may God bless our Jewish brothers and sisters in this moment of Hanukkah. But before I go into these headlines, I wanted to bring on Denise Parker. You know what? Who is she? She is a brilliant esthetician. And, she's been doing my hair for a minute. She and Sharita, love you all, at Savard's Butorium. That's what I'm going to call it, over on 82nd and Racine. And you never know, Dwight McKee, and attorney Mark Fancher, and attorney Daryl Jones, and Jonah Karsh. You never know what someone's story is. So as I've talked to Denise, And she's washing my hair. It turns out she's got not one, not two, but 7 children. Couldn't believe it because she just looks like she's not had one child. Body tight, all of that. And I'm a grandmama. Oh, really? It's just unbelievable. But what you doing for Christmas? Well, I've got a toy giveaway. Really? This is yesterday. I've got a toy giveaway. One of my children died. Whoa. I didn't know that. She said, no, I lost my son. She said, and I had to process my grief. I was so angry. And then I said, that is not what my son would want me to do. So I'm going to have a toy drive, which he started at the tender age of 17. And so welcome, my dear sister, Denise, to this show. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, the who, the what, the where. What is it? What is the toy drive about? When can we go? What time?
Okay. My son is Gabriel Burt. He started he was 17, and he called us at the table of Thanksgiving of 2019, and he was gathered. He said, I want to ask y'all something. And we was like, okay. And then he's like, I want to start a toy drive, and I want to know, can y'all donate toys? And we was like, yes, me, his siblings. We was like, yeah. And so he already had started. He had already started buying toys and stuff. But then he took the toys to up north to a battered and children and women's shelter. And then he had passed away in 2020 of March. He had a seizure, and he had passed away. So me and my other kids, we just said that we was gonna continue to do this for him and the kids. So I wanted to start it back on the south side because a lot of parents out here is like lost their jobs and stuff like that, or raising. Some of their parents, they lost their parents, or their grandmama is raising them because they lost their parents, or their parents got locked up, or whatever. So we just hear so many stories and stuff. So this is our 4th anniversary of the Gabriel Toy Drive. We named it after him, and he was just a great.
You have 2 callers.
He was a great person. He graduated early. He graduated at 17. He went to college in Atlanta. So, he did a lot of stuff that he wanted to do. He went to real estate school while he was in college. So he was good with numbers. He loved math. And he used to tutor and everything. So we just, I was talking and I was telling her, like, I was so angry, with God, because I was like, I'm a good mom. Why me? Why me? But I just remember, like, God, he just borrowed the children to us. So I had to realize this. So when I did my first toy drive, it just made me closer to Gabriel. And it made me so happy to just see the kids. And, so we was like, okay, we're going to do more than toys, because it's parents out here, kids out here need coats. They need pajamas. They need socks. They need food and stuff. So we give away. That's not toys. We do give away coats. We do gift cards. We do McDonald's. We do $100 gift cards for the family, because some of them can't pay their bills and stuff like that. We do free haircuts and hairdos and stuff like that. So my friend Sharita Driver, I asked her, can I use the salon? So I use the salon every year, so we can do the toy drive and stuff. And then before we do the toy drive, I introduce myself and let everybody know that my son started it and why he wanted to start it and stuff like that. So that just brings me closer to him, and that makes me feel good that I can help another family and kids out here to make their Christmas better.
It's one of the most beautiful stories I've ever heard. And next year, we're going to, if I'm still on this radio, we're going to talk about it more and more and more and more, and make it even more successful. Toys, coats, food, underwear, whatever it is that you need, you'll be able to stop by 8540 South Racine from 12 to 5 on Sunday and pick it up. No questions asked. And just, and give Denise some love. I mean, because she's showing us, Dwight McKee, just very quickly, how to kind of work our way through grief. This is a time when she could very easily have retreated into her pain. And yet she looked at her son and said, God lent you to me. Now, I have to have another takeaway. Why don't you give her a word of comfort, Dwight, before we go? 12 to 5 on Sunday, 8540 South Racine. You can stop by there and get what you need, but you can also stop by there and make a donation. It's so important. Dwight McKee.
Well, you can tell she put him on the right track when she named him Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel was God's chief angel. Yeah. And so she's not just raised angel, she named an angel. Mm-hmm. So she really gave him a foundation that created such a dynamic young man who had this kind of concern for the poor. It's hard, so hard felt love that you can feel, that she would then pick up that mantle in his behalf. And so I implore everybody, including us, to buy into helping them promote such a genuine position for the holidays, and also to be able to take his name and preserve it in the full dignity and the full love offering that his life represented. So I want to really commend you for having raised such a magnificent young man.
Absolutely. And
thank you.
Left you with a charge. He said, now I'm going to get this started. Now go on, because she and his father went into the Bible and found biblical names. And that's why they chose Gabriel, because of its biblical meaning. And so I want to thank you. And hey, everybody, 8540 South Racine, from 12 to 5 on Sunday, toys, food, coats, all the things that you need. And people are struggling out here, but you know what? This great woman of God wants to help you. And the community's coming together to be helpful too. And I love you, Denise, and want to support you in every way that I can.
Okay, I thank y'all, and thank you for the donation you gave me yesterday. They're really going to help a family. I really appreciate it. So don't forget, it's December the 17th, 2023, on the Sunday from 12 to 5. Hope to see y'all there.
Well, what I'm going to do is you'll be back next week talking about it. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And thank you, child. Thank y'all all. Thank you.
Oh, you are more than welcome. More than welcome. I mean, this was my headline today. I wanted to give the headline to Denise, because what is it, December 23rd?
It's December 17th.
December 17th. So we have a week to get more people over to 8540 South Racine. Dwight, you were going to say?
Oh, God bless you, Denise. That's just really just wonderful.
Thank you, Thank you.
And everybody else on this call, because I know that everybody's here, but I really want you to get on over there, everybody, and give them the support, because they're doing great work. Thank you, Sharita, for offering their beautiful space, and we just love you all so much. And I'll be, I told you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I may have you back on, because we're going to have everybody talking about this.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, sending you much love.
I love you.
I love you too, girl.
I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. I meant it. Dwight and Mark and Jonah and Daryl. She was like, I know she's not going to call me this morning. I was like, oh, no, sis. I'm calling you. I said,
Yes. Feel promised, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Oh, absolutely, everybody. Get on over to 8540 South Racine, right in the middle of our community, and give them a love offering, drop off some, unused clothing, food, and such, because it's going to go to people who really, really need it. Let's talk about Biden's falling polling numbers as we look at Chicago today. A high 54 degrees, partly cloudy. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 51 degrees, partly cloudy. This NBA in season tournament, they gonna find a way to make some money. The Pacers and the Lakers. Who's gonna win tonight? Who's gonna be in the middle of the season champion? I don't know, but it's too rich. Oh my gosh! In the NFL, the Patriots 21, the Steelers 18. In the NHL, Chicago shut out the Ducks last night, and the Canucks shut out the Wild last night, 2-0. In the NBA, the Bulls will be playing the Spurs, and the Timberwolves will be playing the Grizzlies. But let's talk about this headline. President Biden is at 37%, and everybody's wondering how his numbers continue to drop. And then we're watching his son, who's now under indictment. Let me ask the lawyer here. Let me say, well, we've been talking to you, Attorney Daryl Jones and Dwight McKee, and we've got, of course, and if not now, their political lead, Jonah Karsh, the brilliant jazz pianist. But let me start with you, Mark Fancher. We went from what could have been a misdemeanor this summer. They had worked out a plea deal to an indictment that could involve jail time. How do we end up here with Hunter Biden? And do you think that that's going to impact the upcoming election or Biden standing in the election? Mark Fancher.
I apologize. I really have not followed the case close enough to provide any type of informed analysis about how the prosecutor may have made decisions in this case.
Well, to be
but
fair,
very often
I just shocked that at you because it's when I saw that he was under indictment, I said, "What happened? How did we get here?"
Well, very often prosecutors make decisions about whether to go forward with a case based on how strong they think the case is. And it is possible that in this period of time that we're looking at, that information came to their attention, which caused them to believe that they would be able to sustain a prosecution against him for these various charges. And they proceeded with an indictment that they believe will yield convictions. But very often it's as simple as that, how strong they think the case is.
Why is Biden at 37%, Jonah Karsh? Why do his numbers continue to drop with young people, such as yourself, with the Arab community, with the Arab American community, with the Black voters? I mean, with climate change activists. I mean, this coalition that he had to pull together, Latino voters. What is happening? What are you seeing?
Yeah, certainly there's so many different kinds of voters, and I don't want to generalize for every single voter, and different groups have different reasons. I can talk about what I'm hearing from people my age that are really passionate about this issue around Israel and Palestine, and Arab American voters, of course, who, for example, in Dearborn, Michigan, where over half of the population is Arab American. NBC News did a story last month, and they went and talked to the head of the Democratic Party in Dearborn, Michigan, and he said he will vote for a Democrat for president in 2024. And they said, "Will you vote for Joe Biden?" And he refused to say he would. And these are people that have devoted their lives to electing Democrats to power. And I think it speaks to the fact that Joe Biden is seen by so many in the Arab American community, and I would say quite accurately as condoning, providing the guns and the bombs, and aiding and abetting the atrocities that we're seeing in Gaza perpetrated by Israel right now, with very little accountability. And even for people who are committed Democrats, who have been cared about electing Democrats their whole lives, sometimes if you feel like he's disregarding the lives of people that you care about, many Arab American voters have family in Gaza, and Palestine is just a really important issue in that community. And if you feel that Biden is disregarding your lives, it's not as if they think that Trump will be better, but sometimes it's so hard to even be willing to pull the trigger. Now, for people my age, certainly in the community that I'm in, I think people understand the risk that a Trump presidency poses, not just to this issue around Israel-Palestine, where it's possible he would be even worse than Biden, but to our trans community, to immigrants in this country, to our democracy. Donald Trump and the fascism of the Republican Party presents an enormous threat, and we don't deny that for a minute. And it's vital that we defeat Donald Trump, but in fact, it's for that very reason that so many of us are standing up and saying, if Joe Biden is signed, sealed, and delivered as the nominee of the Democratic Party, and he's standing unconditionally by Israel as they perpetrate, what the United Nations is warning is on the precipice of a genocide of Palestinian people, it's going to be really, really hard for us to get to organize our communities to get out and say that we need to elect Joe Biden to a second term or elect Democrats to a second term when they're seen as aiding these atrocities. And that's not to say that there aren't things, at least I personally, I understand that Biden has made an effort to cancel student debt. The Supreme Court's gotten in the way. He passed the biggest climate bill in the history of our country, thanks in part to pressure from some of our friends in the Sunrise Movement. But as people that grew up in the activist and social justice community, and we're told that the Democratic Party is the party of equity and justice and racial equality in the United States, and who were inspired by the election of Barack Obama, to see those values abandoned overseas in Israel and Palestine, I think is really jarring for a lot of people in my community that are my age.
Joel Walsh, who's calling in from New York. Joel, how are you?
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call, Santita.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, it's me again. I just want to weigh in quickly. Basically, President Biden, he could get his numbers back up and running, you understand, the faster that he focused on his strong base that got him in the first place. The idea to get the police reform for the George Floyd police in place will be important. They got victims out there that got hurt and have damages that need to be dealt with. The student loans, the voting rights, these are the items that got him in here. You have to remember, Trump is focusing on the items that got him in here. We need to focus on our items as well. Thank you so much.
Jewel has said it. Carl, what's on your mind, sweetie? Carl?
Okay, there we go.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm here now.
How you doing?
Hey, I was waiting for the ding. I'm doing well. Listen, I'm glad you brought up sports a minute ago, right? Okay, so this is how the polls go, and this is how the national election, this is how the national media does this every time to get Democrats in the tizzy. So if you're watching a football game on Sunday, and if said football team is up 43-7 in the third quarter, they're going to switch games because no one wants to sit there and watch a blowout. And so this is what the media do every time. They try and keep this thing close, so they put out those polls for this thing to look competitive. At the end of the day, the Democrats have won the past 7 out of the last 8 popular votes in the presidential election. There's more of us than it is of them. Get out there and vote. And listen, don't sit there and say, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like the other. But then look across the aisle. If you don't like the Democrats' plans and what they want to do for our country, look over to the other aisle and see that they don't have any policies at all. The only policy that they have is hatred of the other. Pick your other of the day, and that's what the Republicans have for you. Then go vote. It really is that simple.
But why do you think black men are moving to him? I've got about 30 seconds. 22%.
Well, me personally, I don't believe it. I don't believe it because of the fact that we didn't get President Hillary Clinton. Remember, she was up by 16.
Well, she won the popular vote. No, she won the popular vote.
She did.
She just did.
She did, but we did.
But then remember, that's not what gets you in office, right?
The electoral college does it exactly. And so where do you win the electoral college? In the Midwest, and plus she didn't go there, and Joe Biden is camped out there.
You
So
win it in North
just
Dakota,
get out there and vote.
South Dakota, Montana, Idaho, and you just pick up those little bitty places.
Exactly.
But but there's something, Carl, I think there's something going on, and I certainly want Mark Fancher to respond to that and the rest of the panel when we get on the other side. But I'm sending you so much love, sweetie.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Everybody, please, the Gabriel Toy and Food and Clothing Drive. Get on over to 8540 South Racine, 8540 South Racine, and drop off food, unworn clothes, shoes, etc. today. On December 17th, there will be a giveaway, and they give and give until there is no more. And they make sure, they even give away food cards, and just what Denise's family has done, just incredible. One of her daughters bought 5 $100 food cards just to give away in her brother's name. Wow. There's some good people out here, everybody. Don't you let anyone tell you anything different. I'm Santita Jackson. Stay right here. Call us at 773-763-9278. 773-763-WCPT. Let's talk about election 24. Can Biden pull it out? No. Do you think that Carl had too sunny a view? Anyone here? Daryl, Dwight, Mark, Jonah?
Yeah, I think he repeats a mantra that we hear a lot from Democratic Party establishment types. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not faulting him or criticizing him for doing that, because we can only analyze with the information that we've been provided. But I think that it's really a talking point, or a set of talking points, and people, sometimes listen to it, internalize it, and repeat it.
Anyone else have a response? Because that's kind of sort of what it sounded like, and I've got any number of friends who are now in the establishment, and this is how they sound. And then what they do, what's really crazy to me, is that they push this Trump fear, and I'm like, that ain't working for me. I said, we are people who survived slavery. Are you in the United States? You can't frighten me. I've been through it all up in this piece. Anybody have a response? Daryl, Jonah.
Well, yeah, I think I would agree with Mark to certainly a degree. The thing is that when they see the polls, and I think that what the caller was saying was that when they see the polls, they try to make it close, and then the Democrats close it out. Well, the poll doesn't mean that the poll is wrong, right? And particularly with this situation, you got to remember that a large part of the voting populace is going to be, the middle class voter, the average everyday voter. And if what that voter is seeing is this negativity that's not in their interest, they'll do one of two things, right? We know that the average African American voter, they've been through some stuff. When I'm old enough to remember that when we went into the Reagan era, that there was all the talk this is going to be really a tough time for blacks in America, really tough time. We don't know how we're going to survive. Well, you survive it. You come through it. And so I think that, realizing that you can survive whatever is coming your way, and having a history of surviving whatever has come your way, has enabled you to say that if the Democratic candidate doesn't do it for me, he doesn't do it for me. I'll stay home. I'll sit it out. Or heaven forbid, you vote for the other candidate, but you're going to look to see what is the worst situation and then try to avoid that.
And the one thing that I think that folks may see from the Trump side of it is that where would we be in this whole Middle East scenario if he had been in office? And I don't know the answer to that. But if you don't think you're going to be in a worse situation than where you are now, then the question becomes, why am I hitching my horse to this cart, or hitching my cart to this horse?
All I can say is that it was 300,000 people in front of the White House last week, a couple of weeks ago. 300,000. They weren't in front of Trump Tower. They weren't in front of Mar-a-Lago. They were in front of the White House. And the media couldn't manufacture that. And polling couldn't manufacture
30 seconds.
That was real people. And so that tells you much of what you need to know about where the country is on this issue. And if you think enough of the issue for you to get on the bus and go across the country,
10 seconds,
to demonstrate in front of the White House,
stand by.
Just believe that that's somehow is going to show up at the polling,
stand by,
one way or another.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world. We can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love. It's not too late. Gotta save the children. We can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show, WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. And go to santitajackson.com. Got that website up. I'm going to be populating it with more and more information just as we go forward in the next week, 2 weeks. I cannot wait to do that. Hey everybody, call me at 773-763-9278. You've already called talking about these Biden polling numbers and what they mean going forward. Do you believe them, disbelieve them? Do you think we can just go on beyond them? Yes, while Democrats have won these last few election cycles, they have won the popular vote, but they have not won the electoral college vote. They've not won enough votes outside of these urban centers. There's something to be said for that. And Biden is polling at 37%. Wow. Those are low numbers, and the numbers continue to drop. And now the media are talking about it. See, you always have to watch when they do not obscure this. You've got to watch that. You got to watch the Hunter Biden indictment, because let me tell you, this is how politics is. Realpolitik. If you're protected, you're safe. You're still useful to the establishment. When you're unprotected, you're unsafe. Okay? And there's something to be said for this moment that we're living in. So what's going to happen, everybody? I want you to call me at 773-763-9278. Mark Fancher, what do you make of this moment? 37%? And the narrative on the Middle East completely changed. I mean, this story did not break the way any of us could have dreamt.
Well, it is a profound moment. It's one that I think that we should all reflect on. And I think part of what we should consider is the hysteria that we see the Democratic Party generating about the prospect of another Trump presidency. What they claim is that if he becomes president again, that there will be a real threat to our democracy, that we will not have the opportunity to fully participate in a democratic process, and that it will become an authoritarian type of a country, a police state, where, in fact, literally the police will deprive people of their constitutional rights and will cause them to be jailed, will cause them to lose their lives. They talk about the possibility of Trump coming into office and there being an economic disaster because of his incompetence. They talk about Trump using the machinery of government to pursue a vindictive campaign against all of those who have differed with him, who've criticized him. But the fact is that if you are an oppressed person, if you're an African person, if you're a Latino person, and you live in a marginalized community of any kind, then you know that that's already your reality. And there are many people who understand that this is already their reality. And what this is about, it's not trying to fend off another Trump presidency for the sake of the country. It's an attempt to stop, for white people, for white communities, the commencement of a reality that has existed for marginalized and oppressed communities in this country for generations and generations. So this really comes down to white people and what they're afraid of, that they're afraid that they too are going to be oppressed and repressed in the same way that many marginalized communities have been oppressed and repressed for generations. And it's disturbing on some level because the degree of panic, the degree of fear that has gripped many on the white left, many white progressives, many white liberals, is a degree of fear and panic that they did not seem to have when the only people who were experiencing what they're afraid of were people across the tracks. So I think that there are many voters, particularly, there was a reference to black men. I don't know if they are deciding to exit from the Democratic Party and defect to Trump or not. I don't know if that's true. But if it is, then that certainly could be a big part of the mix, that they do not understand the reason why they should become afraid of something that already is their reality. So I think that we need to come to terms with that. But I think beyond that, I think that this is an important moment and one to appreciate what I believe is actually happening. And it's not necessarily a referendum on Joe Biden, the person. I think it's a referendum on America, on the system that the United States uses for its political purposes. And the fact that many people have concluded that it is a rigged system, that it's broken, that both of the parties are in no way responsive to, useful to ordinary kinds of people. And it may represent an abandonment of the system, and not just so much an abandonment of the Democratic Party. I think this is healthy. I know many people are despondent. They're upset about the prospect of the Democratic Party in some way imploding at a certain level, but I want the Democratic Party to implode. I want the Republican Party to implode. I want all of them gone because they are two entities that do nothing but serve the interests of major capitalists and imperialists. And none of that is healthy for people. What is healthy for people are people, individuals like our sister Denise, who you had on at the top of the show. Mm-hmm. I'm not being facetious when I say that I want her as my president, mm-hmm. because God really gave us an instruction as to how to deal with this world, how to manage it appropriately, properly, fairly, and justly. He said, I only require of you two things. One, love me with all your heart, mind, and soul.
You have two callers.
Another. And people like Joe Biden and other heads of state around the world have never learned those basic lessons. They do not know that the key to managing any society is to simply love one another. And so that when you see people suffering in your country, the response is not to demonize other governments, other countries, other struggling peoples, to finance the military-industrial complex, to finance major corporations that exploit and oppress. The answer is to serve the needs of those people, to love them, to give them what they need. When you see tension and conflict and war, the response is not to buy into that and to participate in war. It's simply to love other people, to love other countries, and to put love in place of guns and bombs. And it's people who understand those basic kinds of things who are most qualified to govern, if that's what they were inclined to do. So my vote is for Denise.
Mine too. Before I go to the callers, Jonah, it's part of, I think, part of the narrative, I would say, coming out of the, Democratic and Republican parties. They have got a system that favors them. So they're kind of in bed, they are in bed together. They don't let anyone else on the debate stage. If they do, it's huge news, blah, blah, blah. I get the sense that your generation are unafraid of, you're non-binary in more than one way. You don't just see Republicans and Democrats. Am I misreading that?
I think that my generation overwhelmingly, if you look at the polling, will vote for Democrats over Republicans. But I think one of the things that we understand is that not all Democrats are the same. This is something that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said when she ran for Congress in 2018 and knocked off Joe Crowley, who was planning on becoming the next Speaker of the House, and she just completely blindsided him and defeated his campaign. Is that he was somebody that didn't live in the district. He was somebody that was had been elected when the district was majority white and it was now majority people of color. He was somebody that sent his kids to schools in Virginia, even though he represented New York. And people stood up and said, especially young people who were pivotal to that election. We're struggling.
You have a third caller.
We're not getting our healthcare costs and our housing costs are going up. We got sold out in terms of being told we needed to go to college to get ahead, and now we're swimming in student debt. And what is the Democratic Party doing to help us? Certainly, the Republicans aren't doing anything to help us, but not every Democrat was showing up either. And so I think there was a huge groundswell around the Occupy Wall Street movement and just around the material needs of our generation and the lack of economic mobility, the need to fight climate change, all these things that we saw, gun control, that not every Democrat was talking about all the time, and people have stood up and said, we need to demand more of the people that we're electing, and that goes now for the crisis that we're seeing in the Middle East as well, because again, these values of justice that so many in my generation carry, they don't stop at the borders of the United States. We care about that around the world, and that our U.S. foreign policy reflects that.
Eon, what's on your mind today? Thank you for calling.
Hello?
Hi, Eon. Honey, come close to the phone so that we can hear you.
It's Don.
Oh, Tom?
It's
All right,
Don.
Don, honey. What's on? Don. Okay. Can you come close to the phone so that we can hear you?
Hold on a minute, please.
Okay, of course.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can. Thank you for calling.
I apologize.
No apologies.
First time caller, long time listener.
Thank you.
Love your show, Santita. You do great work.
Thank you, sweetie.
I just want to comment on Biden's vote. There's so many. I got a list of things of why people ain't going to vote for Biden. Number one, he continued a lot of Trump's policies on immigration. He's continuing to build a border wall. He waived environmental rules just to keep the border wall going. His COVID response was the same as Biden. A lot of people and immune-compromised people are upset with that. And what happened with Israel and Palestine, that was just the nail in the coffin for him. That's my opinion. He didn't do the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Voting rights didn't get done. It's just a lot of things. And the younger generation ain't dumb. They're a lot more progressive than a lot of people think. I'm 54 years old, and I'm happy with the younger generation. They're going to lead us to a better path. But there's just so many things that Biden, and a lot of people see what the Democrats, all their outrage about Trump was faux. It was faux when he was in, because Biden gets in there and he does the same things and they don't say nothing about it. They just excuse it. I was saying that when Trump was in office, that it was full outrage on part of a lot of the Democrats that were in there.
You have a fourth caller.
But that's the way it is. As of right now, I don't stand any politician anymore. I'm just done with them all. They'll be lucky if I vote this time.
No, vote.
Period.
Vote, but hold them accountable. Telling you, vote,
Yeah.
but hold them accountable. The voting process is the end of the beginning. After you leave the voting booth, then you have to hold them accountable because you've hired them. Now you got to make them work. Okay. I want you to hold on to that. Don't throw the vote away, sweetie. Don't do that. Let me thank you, my sweet. I don't want you to feel despondent at all because you've done your job. Now you got to continue. Your job is not done when you're voting. Chaparral, what's on your mind today?
Good morning, Santita. Thank you so much for taking my call. Listen, in the words of my grandmama, she used to always say, folks don't think fat meat is greasy. And I used to say, what did you mean by that, Granny? And this is what, I used to always hear her say that. And the Biden and the Democratic Party don't think fat meat is greasy. But we're going to show them that it is greasy because they are not listening to us and our demands. I have not forgotten the promises that Biden made in the last campaign to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, to do the civil rights renewal, as well as also to continue to help us with the student loans. I have not forgotten. I understand that he has a stalemate in Congress. However, we know that he can sign executive orders. And until he does that, he will not have my support because he continues to put our issues on the back burner as if he doesn't need us to cross the finish line. He absolutely needs Black Americans to cross any finish line. And his stance on these two wars that he has started has only made the situation worse because the allies that he used to have in the Muslim and Arab community, he no longer has that. So now you have exasperated the issues, and you have it's a he don't want to win because he's not doing anything to make himself win or make himself look like he's wanting to win, because we know that the Civil Rights Act renewal will help him and protect us, our right to vote. He knows that justice and policing will put a lot of activists on his side. These executive orders he has refused to sign, and I know he doesn't believe in them. That's why he hasn't put them in there. But I'm gonna show him that you should have voted and put those executive orders, because you have to. Sometimes you got to teach people. You have to teach them. And right now he's not listening to us. He's not even. We're not even a figment of his imagination, because he thinks that he automatically has his vote. But we're gonna show him that the fat meat is green.
Well, no, stay right there because I want the panel to respond to you, but put us on mute. And because I want to get as many of these callers in as we can before we go. And if you don't mind, Mark and Jonah and Dwight, please stay with me so that you can react to what you just heard. Marvin Bolden, how you doing, Marvin? Thank you for calling. Marvin?
Third party. Oh, hello. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sitting up here. I'm calling from Decatur, Georgia, man.
Oh, thank you for
I'll
calling.
tell you.
Yes.
I can't believe that people are so stupid that they will vote for Trump. Have you listened to what this guy says he's going to do when he gets in there? You know, he's going to appoint this guy, Stephen Miller, as the Attorney General. Do they know who Stephen Miller is? I don't think so. And a whole bunch of, he's going to bring Flynn back to make him Secretary of State. That in itself should cause you to vote for Biden. He's the only game in town right now, as far as I'm concerned.
But
all these third-party people.
Well, let me ask you, because hold on. Well, Biden, excuse me, Marvin, hold on a moment. Mr. Bolden, hold on a moment. Because you've got Robert Kennedy, although the corporate media won't say it, he's past 20%. So he's not the only game in town. At the very least, he has a plurality. He does not have a majority. I mean, and Clinton never won with a majority. He won with a plurality. These are not the only games in town. So, I mean, what say you about that?
Well, Robert Kennedy Sr. is not Robert Kennedy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Or should I say vice versa? This guy is an anti-vax. You know, I don't know, even his own family, the Kennedy family, has said he's bad news.
No, all of them, no, Marvin. Marvin, no, they have not. They've had disagreements. Some support him,
I've heard.
Some do not. But he is also to be. Well,
that.
that's just one, because there are a lot of Kennedys, as we all know. Not to mention the fact that he's not an anti-vaxxer. He's one of the leading environmental lawyers in the world. He questioned the safety. No, I'm just saying, if you're going to engage in critique, we have to be accurate. And I'm not a Kennedy supporter, but the thing is, whatever we say about people, it has to be accurate. He's not an anti-vaxxer. That's what the corporate media have said. Anyone who asks a question about a substance that was almost mandated that we put in our bodies, we were not supposed to ask any questions about it. And he asked questions, as now you have different studies from around the world that say, okay, we do have some heart problems that come out as a result of this. We do have this. We do have that. Is it safe overwhelmingly? Yeah, but are there other problems associated? Yes. So that's where he is on that. So, I mean, and let's not call people stupid. I mean, you can disagree with them, Marvin, but, no one needs to be stupid. So where? Well, no, I hear you, but where do you see this election going? I mean, why are his numbers? I only have a couple more minutes, but I want you to stay with me, Marvin. Why don't you do this? Could you stay with me for a few minutes?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, please, because I'd love for you to. I'd love for you to engage the panel. Let me get Lee on before we go. Lee, what's on your mind, sweetie?
Hello, Santita. This is amazing. I kept thinking I was so disappointed about the fact that Biden really wasn't doing things that I want to do. And when your person said, I want both parties to implode, I thought, I've been thinking that and thinking that's just not going to work. But it is going to work because everybody in this country is sick and tired of what they're seeing from both parties. And that's why the people ran to Trump. They said, nobody here in the establishment is doing anything. Let's look for somebody else. So they went to somebody else as what do we call it? The devil in the devil. If they could run to the person who has total integrity, who doesn't even want the job, but we want him because he will bring us back to the promised land, so to speak. That's what we want. And I think the American people are ready for that. And that's what we have to get.
So now,
and that's my feeling. And I have to say, your show has brought the awareness to me so much better than anything else I've researched. You're amazing.
Well, you're very sweet. Yeah, I just want to bring. Don't apologize. So let me ask you this: are you someone who would like to vote for Trump? Is he someone who has appeal to you? And no harm, no foul, no shade. I just want to know. Lee, are you there? Well, I just want you all to know that when you come. Oh yes, Lee is Trump someone you like? And if so, what? Oh no, you have to turn the radio down.
Hello?
Lee, you have to turn the radio down.
Yeah, Santita.
Okay.
Hadn't I already talked?
Is Trump your guy?
I'm sorry, did I already talk?
No. Yeah, but before we get off, I got about 10 seconds. Is Trump the person you're supporting in the 2024 cycle thus far?
No, the people have turned to Trump because they're sick and tired of watching the other two parties fail.
So you want us
at serving the people.
So you want to,
they're looking for somebody. They're picking the wrong side. Mm-hmm. They need to get somebody with integrity that will actually lead us in the right direction, and that's what we have to do.
Okay. Well,
a third party has to be the solution here.
Stay right there. I want to get closing thoughts, or I just, Chaparral's still there. I think Marvin is still there. Lee's there. Alex, everybody. We've got Mark Fancher, Jonah Karsh, and Dwight McKee. Everybody, I'll see you on Keep Up Alive on Sunday and at Rainbow Push tomorrow at 10 o'clock, 930 50th Street. Sending you so much love, everybody. Stay right here on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Thank you, Alex. So I want everyone
Ms.
to
Jackson,
respond.
did you want me to put all the other callers on the panel?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Okay, thank you, sweetie. Why don't you react to what you've heard, Mark Fancher? And Marvin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here, ma'am.
Okay, because Marvin, you were speaking of Attorney Fancher, and you found points of disagreement with him.
Yeah. If you've been paying attention, what I mean in the last, with Trump is only worried about Trump, and you're going to elect a guy who took this country through hell for 4 years, and then bring him back as an alternative to Biden. You know, if it wasn't for Biden, this country would be in a hell of a shape. You know, and he's brought some good numbers as for the economy and some other things to us. Have you ever looked over the whole world and see what they've been going through? And then you're going to say, "Oh, bring Trump back." You got to be out. And I'm not talking about it. You got to be out of your mind if you believe that. Really, that's not thinking at all. That's not. There's no logic to that. You know, I'm 71 years old. I remember when we had, you know, these water fountains, you know, where it's colored and all this other stuff, and a whole lot of people never went through that. But you don't want to go back to that. But that's where these guys want to take us back to the 50s. You know.
Can I respond?
Yeah, you can respond to that. I don't see it. I just don't see. I don't see it.
All right, because I think your position is a sound position for you and us who went through that. But Trump is from the same part of Queens that Archie Bunker is from, and there are millions of white people.
Well,
millions of white people.
I used to live in Jamaica. I know exactly where he's coming from.
But Marvin, Mr. Bolden, let him finish. Let him finish so that we can engage each other. Okay?
There are millions of white people that are looking for the good old days. They're looking for Mitch Miller and the hit parade.
And
there are
Lawrence
millions of people. This is real. They're looking for Herbert Hoover again. Millions of white people, the same ones that wouldn't let us drink out them fountains you're talking about. Many of them were still around. And so the reason that Biden's numbers are so low is that those people that he needed to appeal to, which was mostly us and the progressives, he did not fight enough for them because he was trying to appeal to Trump's crowd, who is so much Trumpish that he won't be able to seduce them. Remember now, most white people voted for Trump.
I know that.
Most white, and so without a real progressive black ethnic backlash to counteract that, then it's going to be for those white people, for those Archie Bunker white people, business as usual. They see this as a way back. They see this as Herbert Hoover back all over again. So that's what you're dealing with.
Well, this is the way I see it. The alternative. You can't. Who's going to do it? Vice President Harris is not going to get off the ticket and run against him. Gavin Newsom is not going to run against him. They already told you that. Who else could beat Trump?
You ain't got nobody else, man. Who else? And right now, we just want to gain power for the next the presidency and the region and the House and be able to vote some of the changes that we hear you talking about. You can't do it without voting.
My question to you is, you say who else can beat Trump? Do you think that Biden can beat Trump?
Yeah, I think he can beat him. He's already done it. Yeah, I think he can beat him. You know, I mean, hey, he beat him by 8 million votes. When you going to get somebody else who's going to do that? You ain't go with these third party people. There's nobody. The only place these people are running in is the states where the vote. You know what I'm saying? The turnaround states. You know, all the rest of us just voted. You know what I mean? And
Godspeed. I hope you're right. I pray that you're right.
Yeah.
I hope.
You know what? I'll take that bet rather than this bit of bringing somebody else in. And you ain't. And believe me, there's nobody else out here who's gonna garner any votes.
Well, hold on.
Gonna garner enough votes. These third party candidates are not. They're not on the ballot in all these other states.
But we don't.
You can't.
We don't want that yet.
Can't beat somebody with nothing. Well, that's what I'm telling you.
Well, you know, I think that the intra-party fight is much bigger than that, Mr. Bolden. But you know, you were speaking to Attorney Fancher, and he wants to respond. Attorney Fancher.
Yeah. I just want to share the perspective, the way I see things from where I sit. For me, this is as if we are enslaved Africans on a plantation back during the slave era. And we're trying to make a decision as to whether we want the young master, you know, the son of the current master, to run the plantation, or whether we want his dad to continue to run it. Because the young master has suggested to us that if he's the master, then maybe we'll get chitlins at Christmas time, as opposed to his dad, who doesn't give us anything, but cornmeal mush. And so the alternative between the two, you know, it's the young master. I'm not with that program. I'm with burning down the plantation, burning down the big house, and cutting the master's throats. And I think that, you know, we are on a plantation, and in order to break out of it, we need to just completely abandon the entire system and begin to construct something new. Yes, there will be turmoil and chaos and problems, but for those of us who are part of oppressed communities, we're already experiencing that. Yes, Trump is going to create a police state, but black men, black women are already at risk from the police every single day. Every week we hear about how they're being gunned down when there's no provocation. They're afraid that if Trump becomes the president, then he's going to become very vindictive, and he's going to use the Department of Justice and the machinery of the state to come after his enemies. Well, they already come after black people, not because they have offended Trump or because they said the wrong thing, which is what's usually done in fascist states, where they go after people who've done something that offends the state. They come after us just for being black. You know, they say that he's going to take away democracy and we're not going to have the opportunity to vote. We already, our voting rights and our voting access is already compromised and limited. So this is not new for us. The only question is, are we going to do what's necessary in a radical kind of a way if necessary to break out of the entire thing? And that's where I am. It's not that I want Trump. I don't want him. I'm not a Trump supporter. I think the man's an idiot. I think he's dangerous. But I also think that on a real level, on a practical level, the conditions that exist under Democratic Party administrations is not that much better.
No, man. No. You're a young man. They, you
No,
know,
I'm 65.
you're a young,
I'm 65 years
young
old.
man. Okay.
I'm 65 years old.
Well, I'm 71. Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. I don't think going back to 1950 going to improve to go forward. It's not.
It's not about going back to 1950. We're already there. We're already there. We never left it. We never left it.
No, no, I can't. I ain't going with that one. That's not true. That's not true. We ain't never
And
left
I'm
it.
older
Yes,
than
we
you.
have.
I'm older than you. I'm 72. So age ain't an issue on this. I'm 72. I'm older than you. And I'm from the South. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. So I was in the South.
I'm from Greenwood,
And I was
South Carolina,
drinking the
brother.
water.
I understand exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
I'm just dealing with the reality that the white that they're not enough. That if we're looking at just the politics of it, I'm not sure that there's enough white people that have converted from that mentality to give Biden the victory. I'm hoping that you're right. I pray that you're right. But when you look at the polls and you look at who Biden needs to win and how neutral they are right now, and look at where the electoral states are lining up, it does not look promising. But again, I pray that you're right.
Well, let me bring Jonah in here. Jonah, what are you seeing? I mean, because Biden you were a critical part, or you are a critical part of the coalition, that he would need to win, that any Democrat would need to win. And quite frankly, Republicans are looking for young voters too.
Yeah, I'm as I was saying earlier, I'm seeing a lot of people that are really dissatisfied with Joe Biden. We were, and I don't think anyone thinks that Trump is any better. I think everyone thinks that Trump is worse, and I really don't want to downplay what I see as the risk in particular. If you look at the red states that are they're trying out all these things, the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, banning gender affirming care. Really, for our LGBT community, I worry a lot about that is an issue that President Biden is good on, and I worry about what a Trump presidency would mean for a lot of my friends. And for that reason alone, I think I'm going to vote for the Democrat. But I understand why people feel like Joe Biden is not what he promised. I mean, he ran in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of an uprising for racial justice. He talked about saying Black Lives Matter, and it's hard for me to say what Joe Biden has done to really make our country a place where racial justice is any more than it was in the past. And again on this war in Gaza, these values that my generation holds, we see Joe Biden abandoning them. And so that's not to say, at least for me, I would sit the election out, but I think he really needs to change course because enthusiasm of the people that fought for him in the beginning needs to come back, and it's not there.
It won't be. Can I speak, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be there. It won't.
Okay, you very quickly, Mr. Bolden, and then I think Chappell's still there too. Yes, Mr. Bolden.
It won't be there unless you do something about it. Sometimes you have to come out and do something even when things are bad. And I look back to Martin Luther King and whatever, we had times and we move ahead and then we move back. But he never said, okay, let's sit back here and let this worst situation occur, and then it's going to be all right. That's there's a difference between somebody trying to keep you from voting and somebody burning a cross in your front yard, which a lot of these people will do right now. Don't look backwards. Look forward and try to get something done. We need votes. We need people. We need to take over all 3 houses and the presidency. And the presidency with Joe Biden is a whole lot better than Trump. Believe me, because we ain't going nowhere but backwards. I don't care whether you're black, you're LGBT or whatever. Any minority group is going to suffer under that kind of situation.
I want to let Chappelle talk, but I just want to say this real quick. I agree with the brother. I agree with the brother about going forward. But I just say that the alternative to just continuing in this system is revolution. That's the only thing I want to go forward with revolution.
And I'll tell you, you know what revolution got? Where revolution got us, we had riots in the 60s, and places where
Mr.
burning the cities down.
Got us
still in the same
revolution
condition.
broke Jim Crow. It got us the Civil Rights Act. It got us the Voting Rights Act. It got us the Fair Housing Act. That's what revolution. What got us riots was government intervention, government saboteurs in the civil rights movement. They're the ones who did that. The only time Dr. King had violence on his march was when a young black man from Morehouse, who was affiliated with the CIA, broke it up. That has never been what we have done.
I'm not talking about violence. I'm just talking about.
You just mentioned when you just said revolution, because the 50s and 60s were a revolution. I'm just telling you, we had a nonviolent revolution. That was the genius and divinity of Dr. King, that he gave us basically a bloodless revolution. We've shown the way on how nonviolence is the option, or is an option. And we've done that. And I'm telling you that whenever we have had violence in our movement, we've had government saboteurs. And I know because there was one who used to drive my brothers, my sister, and I to school. And then we found out that he had the plans for our house and had been sent to kill our father.
I know what
he was from the it's not just COINTELPRO. This was in the 80s. We knew who he was. Mm-hmm. And then my father forgave him and let him continue. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, So I want to be extremely accurate. Chappelle?
Yes, Santita. I was going to say that Joe Biden actually does not want to win. He is not doing the work that he knows is going to be required for him to win. So if you continue to ignore the base of your constituency, the people that put you over the top, you cannot continue to ignore us and then expect us to vote for you. So you keep on, thumbing us in the nose, saying, "Okay, wait." No, we're not going to wait anymore. You're not even doing something that's going to help you. We know that the Voters' Rights Protection Act will help him in the Democratic Party. So why is he not supporting that? Who's hurting him? He's hurting himself. And so we have to recognize he doesn't believe in these policies that he ran on, and we're going to call him and hold him accountable. So if he loses, if the Democratic Party loses, it's on them because they did not put forth the agenda that they needed to win. He knows that protecting this right to vote is essential to his re-election, and he is not willing to put that on the table. Tell me why. Why is he not willing to do this? And so it's because he doesn't believe in the policy. He never has. He's never been progressive, and now it's time for him. These chickens don't come home to roost when the people do not go out and vote. And it's not so much that they're going to vote for Trump; it's that they're going to stay home. They have no desire because their life is not changing. Whether it's Trump in office or Biden in office, their life is still fundamentally the same.
Well, I think it's, we've got to continue to have this robust conversation because Mr. Bolden, Chappelle Wells, Jonah Karsh. Oh, please jump in. Yes.
I'm not against anything that any of you are saying. My son and I, my 40-year-old son, had the same conversation last night. And he basically was saying the same thing. Some things are true and some things are not. But, hey, from looking at from my perspective, mm-hmm. let's try to go with what we got to get somewhere else. We're trying to get 24 to 28, and maybe we can get somebody else, or we can get somebody to get enough votes to pass some kind of
Hold on,
voting.
Chappelle. Let him finish.
You know, excuse me. Don't give up on it right now. Don't give up on it right now. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Bolden, I'm saying I don't think that
something with nothing if you ain't got nothing
I'm saying,
there, and so we're gonna have a revolution and start over
hold
again.
on. But Mr. Bolden, don't misunderstand the primary process. This is when you hammer it out. You give up before you started when you pick someone before the primary process has begun. That's when you lose out. Imagine if you didn't have a primary process, you never would have had a Jackson candidacy, and you never would have had Obama. You never would have had Hillary. You never would have had these women on the ticket, because Reverend was the first top tier candidate to advocate to put a woman on the ticket. And he not only broke the color barrier, he broke the philosophical barrier as a progressive. So you got to have a primary process. It has to be robust. We don't have that. The Democrats have said we're not going to have any discussion. There will be no debates. That's a huge mistake. People are not worried about this man's age. They're not worried about his age. They're worried about his health, because he does not look like he is fit enough to run the race. We don't know who else would have been strong enough to have defeated Trump. In fact, the most popular elected official in America remains Bernie Sanders. Remains. But the Democrats pushed him out because they didn't want him. And that was dumb. That was stupid. And we are paying for it.
I was a Bernie Sanders supporter too, ma'am. I understand.
No. But beyond supporting him, you don't kick people out before anything has begun. It's like, what are y'all doing? And they do it all the time. All the time. And so you've got someone like Jonah. Let me not speak for Jonah, because you're 71, I'm 60. And I think you might be barely out of your 40s, Chappelle. Are you 40 yet? Jonah is in his 20s. So he sees a whole new world. And these young people are telling you, I am not signing up for this. And we have to listen, just as my parents' had to listen to them. It's a new world. The October 7th narrative the narrative completely changed. The Jewish community did not expect for Palestinian supporters to rise up. They did not. Even though you have a big segment of the Jewish community who are like, not with this. They're not with this genocide. Everything. What did my pastor's wife, Mrs. Luther May Evans, used to say? Oh boy, you know where you've been, but you don't know where you're going. She would have been she would have been in her mid-90s now had she been living. She just died a couple of years ago, 4 years ago. She said, oh, no, darling. Remember, you know where you've been. You don't know where you're going. We don't know where we're going with this. And we've got to be understanding of that. But don't knock yourself out. Don't kill the primary process. You need it. You need it. We all need it. I want everyone to have their say before they go. Mr. Bolden, very quickly, do you have anything you want to say before we go?
Hey, the only thing I would want is think back to what happened with Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. They didn't want her. And then look where we in. 4 years and back in the hole, and 10, 20 years back. We got to fight to get back to where we were. You know.
Well, I tell you,
and that's all.
No, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, but we also have to look at
with anything anybody says.
Uh-huh.
But I
don't remember the black colleges and how they were decimated under Obama. And in fact, it was Trump who put money back into the HBCUs. They were closing dormitories at Dr. King's alma mater. I mean, who would have thought? Really? So, I think we have to be very honest about where we have been so that we can get to where we need to be. I am done. I don't want to compromise with these jokers. I'm sick of it, because poverty should be ended in America. We shouldn't have it.
Okay.
It's not okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
What's happening in the Middle East? I am
every-
not going to vote for someone who signs up for genocide. I'm not going to do that. As a Christian, I can't do it. 17,000 Palestinians dead. That's shameful. Not going to do that. Now, he's going to have to go another way for me. And if it were Jewish people, he would have to. No, he ain't doing nothing on that. And he's wrong. He's wrong. And he has endangered Jews all over the world, because now it looks like people like young Jonah, who is a kid, is signing up for it. And he's fighting with his life, with all of his might, to stop this. It's not right. And he must go another way. Anthony Blinken has to be more than a secretary of war. I'm sick of it. What was cannot be. Dr. King had his neck blown off opposing war, and I'm with him. Sick of this. When are we going to be tired of feeding war and not feeding babies, women and men? I'm tired of it. I'm not afraid of Trump. I'm not afraid of anyone. My family survived slavery and the Trail of Tears and the potato famine over in Europe. I ain't scared of nothing. Now, either you come through for me, you get out of my way. I need my right to vote protected. I need not worry about my nephew when he is driving up to Evanston to go to school. Scared to death when he said, "Oh, Auntie, I'm going to read some and I'm going to go back to school about 9:00 at night." I'm scared to death till Noah called me. Shouldn't have to live like that. Sick of it. Mark, you have anything you want to say?
I only want to say that we can't be afraid. We can't have fear that's based on the perceived consequences of what we do or don't do within the bounds of a system that we've been given. I think our tradition as a people is that we dream. You know, Dr. King didn't use that word lightly. It's really probably a better word is probably vision. That we have to look at what God wants for people, for humanity, and for the society. And if the system is not providing that, then we have to reach beyond the system and engage in a revolutionary struggle. Dr. King said that we need a revolution of values. When he was looking at the contradictions between what this country said that it was about and what it was actually doing in Southeast Asia, what it was doing with respect to the poor in Appalachia, what it was doing with respect to the poor in the Mississippi Delta, what it was doing with respect to Black people in northern urban areas, what it was doing for Latinos, what it was doing for the natives on reservations. He said we need to move beyond what the system allows us to do and to go a different way. And the Poor People's Campaign was all about that. It was about mobilizing poor people from around the country to descend on Washington, D.C., and to occupy the government, to not leave it until it did right, until it enacted an economic Bill of Rights, until the war was stopped, until health care was provided to the poor. This did not come. This was not motivated by any strategy to try and elect a particular candidate or to back a particular party. It was based on values, pure and simple. And I think that that's where we need to be as people. We need to rest on principles and values with no compromise, none whatsoever, even if it means not supporting somebody who the system is telling us is the only alternative that we have. We have other alternatives, and that is to strive for something higher, something better, something that is pure, and something that is more consistent with God's will.
Jonah Karsh, your thoughts?
I agree that with Attorney Fancher that we need a political revolution. I'm not advocating violence. I'm advocating people of conscience standing up and saying that the system that we have is not working. And that doesn't mean that we don't take steps to reduce harm in the system as it exists, but it means that we don't stop at the election. And that's why, for speaking personally, I voted for Joe Biden in 2020 because we needed a huge coalition to defeat the fascism that Trump represented that we saw on January 6th when he refused to accept the results of the election. I want to maintain democracy and a democratic system, but I'm not content to stop then. I'm not content to say, okay, we stopped Trump. Now it's fine that Joe Biden is funding the bombs that are being dropped on Palestinian children. I'm not okay with that either. So I can I think there's a way to reduce harm in the system while also understanding that we need a movement of people standing up to change the political conditions, to expand what's possible in our system, or even to envision a different system. That's where I come from on this.
I'm with you. Shapiro?
Yes, Santita. The reality is that Joe Biden knows what he needs to do. If he wants to be reelected, he knows what he needs to do, and that is to sign those executive orders. I'm not going to get off of it. I'm going to continue to push him because that's what he promised, and he needs to fulfill his promises that he made to the Black community. I have not forgotten. I am holding him accountable to make sure he actually does what he needs to do. And so I'm waiting, Santita. If he signs it, he may get my vote. But if he doesn't, oh well, he gonna learn.
I'm still waiting on democracy, y'all. I am. I mean, I don't know what all this talk about democracy. I think that is an argument with big holes in it. Everything that we've stood for, ending slavery, ending the child labor, bringing unions. We've had to bring democracy here, and democracy ain't here yet. We have to get it here. I'm not trying to preserve something that is wicked and evil. I'm trying to move toward a more perfect union. I'm trying to create the beloved community. That is what I want. And I'm not going to stop until we get there. And it might not happen in my lifetime. That's fine, but I'm going to do my bit to get us there. Dwight McKee?
Well, genocide is not the alternative to tyranny to me. And right now, those are our choices. They're working outside my house.
Oh, okay.
Those are our choices: genocide or tyranny. And so those are not co-equal to me. And so Biden, I don't care who he's running against. I wouldn't support him because I just think it's obscene the way he's taking a position to allow, to fund, to endorse all of these babies being killed. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with Cornell. It has nothing to do with who the alternatives are. To me, it's about Biden and his positions on genocide.
And there we have it. And we're going to continue to talk it out, slug it out, and then after it's all done, we're going to hug it out. Because we are the ones who have the power to make America and the world what it's supposed to be. We're the ones with that power. And we have to make a decision. This day, the Bible says, choose this day whom ye will serve. What do you want? There's something called evil. There's something called wickedness and spiritual wickedness in high places. Yeah, and we're watching it. And you ought to oppose it. God doesn't need to be on your side. You need to be on God's side and oppose the wickedness of this world and overcome it. That's what we need to do as we stand in this holy season with our Jewish brothers and sisters for Hanukkah, as we stand with our Muslim brothers and sisters in Eid, as we stand with Christians in Christmas, in the Mass of Christ. Unto us a child has been given. A Savior's been born. A new way. Now let's go another way. Let's make this world what it's supposed to be. Not what you think it, no, what it's supposed to be. There's enough food, clothing, and shelter in this world for every man, woman, and child to be completely sated. You have too few greedy people running everything, and you ought to be tired of it. Y'all can feed a war, but you can't feed a person. That's always a debate. Well, I don't know if they're restricting the calories of people in Gaza. Are you serious? 90+% of the water is undrinkable. That's what we've got going in the communities here. You got lead pipes everywhere. America's spending so much money trying to preserve empire. We've got a mess in the United States. We're going to have Dr. Shanina Knighton come here and talk to us about her trip to Saudi Arabia. What blows her mind is that they have used all that oil money, which is what they don't tell you, to enrich the lives of the people, to make sure they have safe drinking water, to eliminate poverty. They have roads that are drivable, and on and on and on. That's what we should be doing in the United States. In the meantime, people going bankrupt, trying to keep their head above water to be well. But you know what? Most folks don't have access to the best health care in the world. That's at the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic and with these specialties. You ought to be sick of that. I am. Now, don't talk to me about democracy. That's something my grandmama Tibby never saw. My grandmama Helen and grandma Gertrude, they never saw it. My grandfathers never saw that. But they fought for it anyway. Stop listening to these corporate media talking heads tell you, well, we've got to preserve democracy. What? Half the people at January 6th were from in the intelligence community anyway. I've been reading the information to you. The police were not even there that day. The Capitol Hill police, 3/4 of them were off. We don't even know what all that was. I want poverty to be over. I want these wars to be over. I want justice. I want my vote. That part. And it won't be given to me. I know I'll fight for it. And I'll fight through, and I'll fight with, I'll fight anybody to make it happen. So I'm not wedded to any candidate. I'm wedded to the truth. And I want you, if you want my vote, you're going to give me what I need. And before I get who I want, I'm going to get what I need. Those are the rules of politics, everybody. I love you. God bless you. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Because, I have a rant, Jonah.
Okay.
Santita rants.
Can I say something else?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Can I?
Quickly.
I agree with everything you say. I love your father like I love you.
Thank you.
I know he fought all those years.
He and my mama. He and my mama together.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get together. Let's try to win, and then try to move things forward. We got to do that. We got to win.
Well, we winning. I'm gonna tell you, we winning is not Democrats winning necessarily. We winning is getting someone to respect our demands. Dr. King grew up in a Republican household. It was a major deal for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's father, who was Daddy King was one of the biggest preachers of the era. He said, you know what? I got to have a think. It was these Democrats who reached out to save my son who's in this Alabama jail while his wife and I and his mama and his brother and sister are worried to death these folks going to kill him in this jail in Alabama. So he said, I'm going to do something that I haven't done. I'm going to move over to the Democratic Party for this election cycle. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. He was a Lincoln Republican. I don't care about a party. I care about the principle. I care about the people. I need us to win, Mr. Bolden. That's all I need. I want my vote protected. I want Black colleges to have the resources that they need. I want my Black banks back. I want my Black businesses back. I want the carnage, the genocide in the Middle East to stop.
I agree with everything you said. I do too.
It's got to stop. It's got to stop. I cannot look my God face to face and say, I compromised on that. It was okay to see all these babies blown up. Hamas was all right.
That's not.
No, that ain't cool. Israel founded Hamas because they didn't want to deal with the PLO. And there's evidence that they were in on the killings of Israelis. Shame on all of them. You don't have the right to take a life. You didn't give it. It's from God. Sick of it. And I cannot take my sense of what God needs me to do from any of this. And I'm not going to do it. I'm too old for that. And I wasn't raised that way. So we gotta go the right way, not another way. My grandma Gertrude said, "Don't go another. Don't. There is one way. It's the right way." That's it. You don't go to the hospital to get better. You go there to get well. Let's get things right. I love you, everybody. See you on Sunday. See you on Sunday. And we can vote, but make the Democrats, John, do what you need them to do. Don't let them punk you. Oh, it's just the Democrats. Oh, please, don't fall in love with the party. Please don't do that. You ain't got time for that. Don't fall in love. No. Have the party fall in line with your interest. That's when you win. Love you, everybody. Love you, Mark. Love you, Jonah. Love you, Mr. Bolden. Love you, Chapearl. Love you, Dwight. Love all of y'all. I hope I have not missed anybody. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. And see you in a little bit. See you tomorrow at Rainbow Push, and see you on Sunday on Keep Hope Alive with Reverend Jesse Jackson. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Let me get on to this doctor so I can check out my eyes. Love you. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.